CP.
Are you serious? He's gone! 40, 30, Portis all the way! Touchdown Redskins, 64 yards!
26 minutes.
He's pretty sharp, you know. He'll coach you up on the Miami guys and everything else. He's kind of fun to be around. Got an opinion too.
You know, I've been blessed to have the opportunity to go out and be myself and say the things that I say, and you know, for the outside world, they can deal with it how they deal with it.
26 minutes with Clinton Portis. CP. Teach him something.
Welcome to 26 Minutes, episode 41. Today we're joined by none other, 8 to the 9, the man himself, Santana Moss. Tanner, what's up?
What's good, brother?
Hey, we on episode 41, but we just missed your 40th birthday. We should have did episode 40. Tanner turns the big 40. How is it to join the 40?
You know, different, man. You know, to be honest with you, I was expecting something different. I was like, man, what's 40 gonna bring me? I'm gonna feel a different way. Will I act a different way? But it's the same. Everything is mental. You know, basically, you know, when folks tell you, you know, at a certain age you're gonna be doing this in life, at a certain age you're gonna not want to do this. It's all about how you feel, how you think, and how you live. And as long as I'm doing. I don't think I'm ever stop feeling young or being young. You know, I think the kids that we have to raise and to make sure we look after, they're gonna keep us forever wanting to, you know, go after something and make sure their lives as easy as possible. So I'm enjoying it, brother.
So we coming up on a decade of knowing each other. I guess we met at 19. So this 21 year Sean T number. When you look at decade, you know, 20s it was a different lifestyle. 30s it was a calmer. At 40 you decide family oriented.
Yeah.
Whole family. It was great to see everybody at the house, just posted. No pressure. Like, it was, you know, we had to leave just because we had such a long day and, you know, it was more to come. But just that environment, you know, being in that environment, having the people that you grew up with, and then having the access to all the people that came out to support. When you look around Antrell Road, your brother Sonoris, Edge, you know, other guys that made it in the NFL from your neighborhood, still taking the time out, Reggie, those guys being around, how meaningful that was.
You know what, tell you the truth, when I thought about it, I can say this about Asian, you do get wiser. I can say that, because when we was young, we just did things. We didn't care about tomorrow.
I was going out 40 deep.
So I would say that I'll be a liar if I say that, you know, the older I've gotten, I've been thinking differently. You know, I think wisely. I've always been a conscious person. You know, I think out everything I do. So I've never been a guy that just did stuff just because I'm going to do it and just because I could. But when I was thinking about 40, I was like, this is what I want. You know, I'm normally celebrating away from my family. A year ago or 2 years ago, I believe my oldest daughter, Sanaya, she was like, Dad, how come I never see you on your birthday? At home. You know what I mean? It kind of like made me, you know, swallow. I had a hard one, you know, and I'm like, man, wow. So I said, okay, this is going to be the birthday that I stay home. And, you know, it's crazy because even that little event that I put together, she was at the track meet for my youngest boy, and they didn't get there until a little later. But I had planned out to have this Airbnb where we can get away from the house and they can all chill and we just have some fun with the family and friends. But it was a great environment. It was a great turn up. I didn't expect it to be as wild as some of my other birthdays, but it ended up being that. But that's just being who you are. You know what I mean? You know how to do things one way and you're going to continue to do it that way. But as long as I involve, you know, I brought the family around. That's what I, you know, set out to do.
Well, happy birthday, happy 40th.
Appreciate you, brother.
Glad to be around for this long. So let's get to the Skins talk. You know, a lot of hype about the quarterback situation, about the young guys showing up. You look at Haskins, you look at Sims, who getting a lot of headlines. You know, a lot of conversation about Haskins picking up a system and maybe he should start opening week. Yeah. And I know we text back and forth. You had this topic on your show, the Santana Moss show. You had this topic and I chimed in. So when you look at this situations, the reality of Haskins being opening day starter, you think that's a good idea or a bad idea?
You know what? When I saw your comment, you was dead on. That's why I ain't have to reply. I know you know what you're talking about. So I would never go back and forth. But you was dead on what I was saying. Like, I'm all good with what I'm hearing. I'm all for the the good, positive, feedback from the draft picks and from everybody else that's on on this roster and in this staff. I want to hear all the positive stuff because that's what you need going into the next year. You need that breath of fresh air. But when it comes to necessarily start him out in week 1 out the gate, I'm not all for that. I'm a guy that if he's able and that's all we have and that's going to give us the best chance, then let's cross our fingers, cross our toes, and hope for the best. But I will hope that the guys that's there, I think right now the most healthy guy is Case. I will hope that he has enough in him to say, young fella, learn a couple of weeks from me first, or the whole year if that have to be. You know what I mean? I'm a Case Keenum fan because of what I've seen him done before. It's not because of him being a guy that's getting opportunity. That's one. But I just feel like the guy, when his back against the wall, he's shown up. He's been that guy to come through. And then when you look at some of the things he did in college, I think he's one of the highest. He has the highest pass rating coming out of the college, collegiate league. I think he's number 1 on the list when it comes to that and how many yards he threw over for his career in college. So I know he can get the job done if protected under the right system. And I think this is one of the systems that he will fit in. So when it all comes down to it, why rush Haskins out there regardless of how good he is?
So this is a fan base that's like really clingy. Every year they get an opportunity, a new idea of hope. Every year they jump onto it, and over the past years you've been let down. Yeah. So you look at the situation with Case Keenum coming in. You think about Case Keenum last year. He's right along with Kirk Cousins as far as the top 2 quarterbacks available on the market. Goes to an offense that wasn't really suitable for him, and all of a sudden he ends up available this year. And I really thought it was a great pickup for the Skins because you didn't have Haskins on the roster. A lot of questions at the QB position. So you bring in Keenum, you draft Haskins, and everyone gets excited about the positivity coming from Haskins against air.
Yeah.
And, as a player.
That's typical Redskins, though, man.
It's typical because it's selling the brand, which is great. But I think people should understand it is against air. You're supposed to probably complete 100% of your passes
Everything should be
against
complete.
air. Yeah, you can't tackle. You're not getting hit. It's no rush. So I look at training camp, when the pads get on, you still can't hit a quarterback. So it's going to take a minute to adjust because he hasn't been hit. He's not going to get hit. Even when the rest of the team starts hitting, he's not going to hit. Then all of a sudden you get the first 5 games where you're dodging some teams. Even when they're not blitzing, they're blitzing. They're coming. And for me, I just think as a young guy, you don't want to ruin this man's confidence.
Yeah.
And I think when we came out into the NFL, watching you with the Jets, took you 2 years to really get your feet on the ground. Although you were a great player coming out of college, it took you time to adjust. Myself, going to the Denver Broncos, the same exact thing. It took me 4 games to get on the field, and I'm thinking I should have been the starter day 1.
Yeah.
But you have to wait your turn. You have to prove. Terrell Davis, Orlandis Gary, Mike Anderson, those guys had put in the work. So all of a sudden, it wasn't just given to you. The thing about the Redskins organization is they hand the reins over. It's no competition. It's, hey, you know what? We signed this guy. This is our guy.
We're desperate half the time.
It's no competition. So when you look at, I heard you talking about Paul Richardson. You look at the wide receiver core, Josh Doxson, Paul Richardson, Cam Sims, McLaurin, the kids they brought in the draft. You lose Jamison Crowder, the young kid that they were hype about last year. I can't think of his name right now, but got hurt early on.
Cam Sims?
No. Trey Quinn.
Trey Quinn.
So when you look at this receiving core, do you feel like this receiving core is capable of giving you what you need from a wide receiver group?
I mean, to be honest, when you look at the names alone, you're probably not going to be wowed because you look at him, you say, oh, okay, Paul Richardson, he was okay in Seattle. He was a guy that had a backup role that, that risen to the top in his limited play, ability or options that they gave him. He showed up. He made do with what opportunities he got. Then he got a big deal and got over here, and then he got hurt. Well, we always knew that he had a little history of being injured, here and there. I think he's capable. I think, he's a guy that showed that, man, when he had the opportunity to make a play, he did. They didn't come, often last year for him. But then also he was hurt. They say he was hurt way before the season started. He was trying to, tough it out. Through. And that's one of the reasons why I like a guy like that, because here's a guy that, regardless of if he's injury prone or not, what folks fail to realize, you just spoke about me as a Jet. I got injured, hurt my knee out the gate, didn't even play a preseason game, got injured on fan appreciation night. It's hard to get over, what that perception of what people think of you when it's something that you're not familiar with. I'm not familiar with being injury prone. It's just something that happened to me. So I played 4 years in college, broke my jaw, and missed one game. You know what I'm saying? So not injury prone. Stuff happens. That's life. So when you see a Paul Richardson go down and you say, well, damn, he hurt a knee. Hurt a knee twice, once in college, once in the league. Now he hurts his collarbone. He's not injury prone. Just stuff happens. And he don't want to be injured, but he tried to tough it through. So I like a guy like that. I've liked Josh Doctson out the gate because I know what he's capable of. And I'm pretty sure any receiver that watches other receivers, if you see the guy making the plays that he made on the collegiate level and saying, then you see him making on the pro level with the targets that he's been, rewarded at times, you're like, okay, why he's not getting more of those opportunities? Why are we giving him opportunities that's not really something that favors him? See, I look at his whole tenure here so far, and I'm like, here's the guy that's been forced in a situation because he hasn't had no one else around him. You lose your two veterans. Now you're making this guy be the guys that you had, and he's not that guy. He's not a deep ball threat. He's not a guy you say send him downfield be Deshaun Jackson or Pierre Garçon when he first got here. He couldn't throw him them balls. Then late last year, you start throwing him the intermediate routes. He catching tough catches. You're like, oh, Josh Doctson has been a sighting, a Josh Doctson sighting. Oh, where's this come from? Because that's what his makeup was from day one, but you was trying to do something with him that he wasn't familiar with doing, or his skill set didn't allow him to do. So I have a lot of confidence in him, but it's all on him. At the end of the day, regardless of how I feel, how the world feel, whether they're on my side when they're saying that I think he has potential to be great, or they're on the other side of the fence that's saying that he's a bust, I don't believe in that. I think the opportunities come, then you'll see the level, or you'll see his play rise. With the other guys coming in, you got Terry, you got Calvin, you got Trey, who's already here, you got Cam Sims, you got that boy winning 89. I got a lot of faith in him, and I haven't really seen him play much but a preseason game. I just think his swagger alone, his whole demeanor of how he approaches things is what you need at that position. So when you look at all those guys in a circle or a group and say as a core what you can get from them, I think the sky's the limit. It's all about opportunities. One of the things that we talk about daily when we talk about Hall of Famers, we talk about guys who deserve the Pro Bowls that we've been cheated out of, guys that deserve all the recognition that I don't think we get enough of because of where we played at. It's about opportunity. This game, you can't compare one guy against another guy because of his numbers. Now, we all know that numbers don't lie, so that's true. Numbers are going to tell you, but so much about that player. But it's a ton of guys out here in this league that has done what we've done or better that just haven't had opportunities every year to do what we've done. And that's some of the things that we've been dealt with because of being a Washington Redskin. We wasn't always strong to be able to be our best at what we do best. So we had to settle for what we was given. As a running back, you made the best with every run because regardless if we had a line or not, Portis was going to make it happen one way or another. As untraditional as they liked it or not, you did it. As a receiver, it's difficult. I need the line. I need the quarterback. I need the guys around him in the backfield to block, to make sure that quarterback get the ball out. So it's hard to be that, prototypical or the guy who they say is he's a number one guy every year consistently when you don't have the consistent kind of help. And so that's why I never get caught up into comparing guys or comparing units because of something else or something more. I say if you give those guys the opportunity, maybe they can make a name for themselves, and then we can be talking about them in a different light.
Helping people improve their lives is what should drive business. That's the belief at Koch Industries, which employs more than 65,000 people across America. The team at Coke works together to meet the world's changing needs in transportation, medical care, water filtration, household goods, energy-efficient building products, and everyday technologies, all while consuming fewer resources. See the innovations firsthand at kochindustries.com. So continuing on the conversation, talking about guys who been put in a bad situation. Your Pro Bowl left tackle, one of the mainstays on your team, you're Mr. Consistent. Trent Williams ends up in a situation that we look into different from the rest of the world, right? So we look at this situation differently because this is a guy who's laid it on the line. This is a guy who's giving you everything all the time, not having the pieces around him, going above and beyond expectations, consistent in his Pro Bowl appearances, all pro tackle, everything. When you think of the Washington Redskins, since us leaving, the name that would jump out would be Trent Williams, a guy who's getting paid, but he's producing. You know, a lot of guys come here and get paid, don't say they produce. But Trent Williams, you look at this guy, he's been a mainstay, a lot of production, and you look at this situation and it makes you think what?
Well, I look at the situation and I say, you know, what I want to say I'm not going to say, but you like, what happened? Like, where did the Redskins go wrong with this talent? You know what I mean? Honestly, like, it's a whole lot to probably that's going to probably come out that we don't know of, and that, you know, when we find out what's really going on with the situation, we'll have more to really probably talk on. But when you hear a guy that's been your Mr. Consistent, regardless if he's been injured this amount of times or not, you know, first thing you see or hear, and I hate this about our game, because anytime someone's talking about a contract, talking about they want more, they've been treated wrong, first thing you say, well, since 2013, he hadn't played 16 seasons. Well, who can play 16 seasons consecutively? 16 games consecutively in these kind of, you know, conditions. You know what I mean? It's just one of the games we play. It's one of the toughest, brutal sports out there. You know what I mean? Besides hockey, and sometimes you look at soccer, the way those guys go out there and all the stuff they put on their bodies. But it's one of those games that it's tough to play 16 games every year. So that's the first thing they bring up about his consistency of play.
With that point you just made, I want to touch on another subject. I want to stay on Trent, but with that point you just made, I want the listeners to continue to follow this direction because it happens to be perfect with the next topic. You're talking about Trent Williams, a guy that's in the trenches, left tackle, one of the key positions in the NFL. Yes, he protects your moneymaker, and yet and still we have other guys that haven't played 16 games that get rewarded. So let's just keep a track on that, and I'm going to let you finish your thought before I bring it up.
Yeah, so I was already kind of dumbfounded by, like, why would you bring up that? But I understand what sells, and I understand what, you know, listeners and people who's reading this stuff that's probably, you know, wrote about us want to see. They want to see the hoopla before they hear the truth. And the truth is that regardless of what he went through those years, whether it was suspensions for whatever, you know, or maybe the case, and the injuries, he still was the guy, the number one guy that was the reason why we was being able to be successful on the offensive line. Regardless if you ran to his side or not, you always heard Trent Williams' name. And since Chris Samuels, who was a staple for us when we was here, it hasn't been nobody else on that side but Trent Williams. So that there enough alone should tell you that how valuable this guy is for this team. So with all that said and done, now you say this is a guy that's unhappy and he wants out. He wants out. I mean, yeah, we heard it was all about money. That's
but
how
not about
it's
money.
not about money. It's deeper than that. So for whatever reason he wants out I'm wondering, and I'm asking the question to the Redskins, where did we go wrong? What happened to make this guy that's been consistent enough for you? Because after all the other stuff we've been through with the injuries from the last 3 years, regardless of how many times Trent missed the game, I take that before I, you know, go through what we've been going through with all the other players on IR, 50-some plus players in the last 2 years. That's unheard of. So what has he been doing right to make him consistent enough to be there and now feel the way he feel to not want to put on a Redskin uniform again?
So I've been in this situation, right? And a lot of people always ask, like, man, why did, like, oh, man, I wish the Redskins would have kept you. And, you know, like, it was a decision as I got to the point in my career that I didn't love the game anymore. I realized the business, the big business, which is the NFL, and it took a lot out of me. And that point started, and I was telling you this years before it happened. Like, I was telling you, like, Tanner, I'm done. Yeah. So I can go back to thinking of the first realization of how replaceable we were was Sean T. locker. Our lockers were next to each other, mine, yours, and Sean's. Yeah. Our lockers were next to each other, and they decided to memorialize Sean's locker, which is a great idea. Right now, looking back, hey, it's an outstanding idea.
You ain't like that at that time, though.
At the time, I couldn't stand this idea. I hated this idea.
I remember that.
And they bring in another player and put his locker
right there,
right next to it.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the player, no disrespect to anyone, but I always felt like if you could replace Sean Taylor's locker in a locker room that has so much space, you could add a locker anywhere. Mm-hmm. But if you could replace this locker so easily, then we don't mean crap to you. In the moment that I realized we don't mean crap, my view and my vision stepping on the field all of a sudden becomes different because we played for pride. We played for the last name on the back of the jersey, the competitive. You represent you. You got people you got to hold accountable. You know, if I look over and I see you and you not doing what you're supposed to do, which is rare, I'm going to check you or you're going to check me or Sean. Like, we're going to hold each other accountable.
It was a different thought process, yeah.
But now guys are playing for money. We didn't play for money. Although we all got paid, we didn't play for money. It was never, oh, man, I'm going to get this situation. When I was in Denver, I was playing for money because I didn't go in the first round. Yeah. But I didn't step on the field thinking about money. Shannon Sharp highlighted, CP, look at your game check and look at my game check. Look what the headlines say, Portis, 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 but look at my game check. This is where you want to get to. With that, I came to the realization it doesn't matter. You still got to go in, week out. You got to go out here and deliver. Yeah. That's what I wanted to do. All of a sudden, we get in a situation with Sean incident. Then you bring in a coach that couldn't relate, right? Mm-hmm. You bring in a coach that couldn't relate to guys that were proven, to guys that got the job done. And it became it was like a Western, you know, who gonna draw first? Because I'm willing to shoot, you willing to shoot. Mm-hmm. As far as I'm not budging, and you're not budging. So we get into the situation by the time Coach Shanahan come, which was great, revives your career because you had outstanding numbers going into free agency, and you don't get paid.
Still don't get paid.
You don't get paid going to free agency coming off of a 1,000-yard season.
Pro Bowl year that I didn't even get a Pro Bowl for.
Now you look at guys, 800 yards, time to get paid.
Pro Bowl.
Yeah, for 800 yards, they go into the Pro Bowl. For us, we're putting up a consistent 1,500 yards, and we're missing because other guys, some guys burst onto the scene and the hype around them. We didn't have all of that backing, but yet and still consistency. And people don't understand consistency. You see highs and lows. You look at Trent Williams, he's consistent. There hasn't been another left tackle for the Washington Redskins outside of Chris Samuels to that level of play. No doubt. And Chris was my man. Yeah. So when you look at Trent, you say, wow, why does the Redskins put themselves in this situation? I think of it with Pierre. I think of it with Kirk Cousins. I think of it with Alfred Morris. I think of it with you. Like, people don't understand the business of football. Yeah. And when we come back, we're going to discuss the business of guys, and we're going to get to the topic where you said Trent hasn't played 16 games since 2013, but yet Carson Wentz hasn't played 16 games. He hasn't played 15 games. He hasn't played 14 games. But he go out and get $148 million, and it's a great idea. It's locking up your future.
Lord have mercy.
It's locking up your future. So when we return, we'll discuss that on 26 Minutes. Hope you all are enjoying. Stick with us. Live a life of luxury on a private yacht. The Luxury Cruise and Scratcher from the Virginia Lottery offers a chance to win an unforgettable experience for you and up to 7 friends on a yacht staffed 24 hours a day by a captain, crew, and personal chef. You have flexible port options and access to motorized watercraft too. The $5 luxury cruising ticket features 3 instant win private yacht experiences and a 4th one available in a second chance drawing. There's also $12 million in cash prizes in the entire game. The Luxury Cruise and Scratcher could be your ticket to sun, fun, and luxury all on a private yacht.
Have you heard about Creighton Farms, the private club community that's home to the Redskins? Creighton Farms is just 20 minutes from Dulles, but a world away. On top of its award-winning Jack Nicklaus signature golf course, pools, tennis courts, and other resort-style amenities, you'll find custom homes and villas that are simply extraordinary, starting at $1.5 million. For property and legal information, visit CreightonFarms.com, or, better yet, visit Creighton Farms. Are uninvited pests ruining your plans? Let PMSI, the pest control partner of the Washington Redskins, handle it for you. Call today for your free inspection, and they'll work around your schedule to provide you the best solution possible to defend your home territory against pests of all kinds, including mold. Visit mypmsi.com for the game plan to control the pests on your home turf. That's mypmsi.com.
10 seconds left. John, more ways to inbound.
Sammy Wynn behind home plate. 1 out to go. More ways throws.
Wynn shoots. It's up. More ways to win.
More ways to win. More ways to win.
More ways to.
Your heart works hard, and sometimes its parts need repair. That's what we do at Innova's Structural Heart Program in Fairfax. With outcomes that exceed the national average, we're a leader in both minimally invasive repair techniques and surgery to address heart valve disease. Give your heart the benefit of care from Innova Heart and Vascular Institute. Find an Innova physician by visiting innovaheart.org/valve. Innova. Join the future of health.
I'm trying to meet that boy Clinton Portis, though. They say that boy, they say he's smooth on his feet. I'm trying to teach him something.
Teach him something.
Teach him something.
So picking up in our conversation, NFL big business. You look at guys, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, OBJ, all guys that's performed at a high level in great situations, having opportunities, numerous Pro Bowls, numerous All-Pros, and they get ousted. They become the blame. You look at Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, say, you know what? Ben Roethlisberger wasn't really a good leader. He wasn't the guy that you all look up to. Like, we know this guy. He's not who he's cracked up to be. Ben Roethlisberger get paid. They're working on an extension for Ben Roethlisberger. Le'Veon Bell has on green and white. Antonio Brown, black and silver. OBJ, same situation. Give it your all. One of the baddest players in the NFL.
Paid him.
You paid him and got rid of him.
Crazy.
Then you look at Carson Wentz. No disrespect to Carson Wentz. Nick Foles played his butt off. Brought a Super Bowl to the Eagles. Went out, got paid by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not the Eagles. Not where he delivered the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But Carson Wentz, your guy of the future, gets $148 million. Yeah. Why is it that the vocal guys, the guys that probably really put in the work and make the plays, no disrespect to quarterbacks, because I think quarterbacks are really good. And both of us know you need a quarterback to come up with those numbers.
No doubt.
But do I think the quarterback is the face of every NFL team? No, I don't. I think there's a few elite quarterbacks in this league, maybe 6 or 7, and then there's that other group, And then there's those guys who just come off at the right time. They have this one good moment, and it just so happened to elevate them. You look at Brock Osweiler. You look at a lot of guys who came off of, hey, why are you paying Brock Osweiler $70-something million? Who knows? No disrespect. He got the money. So when you look at these situations, every NFL quarterback is getting paid big money, but they're not producing. Mm-hmm. They're not producing. They're not top tier quarterbacks. You look at guys making more than Brady and Breeze and Aaron Rodgers, and you sit back and say, why?
It's the nature of the beast, if you ask me. It's hard for me to sit here and give you a great reason because there's no reason behind it. I sit back and talk to friends, and when you got a guy that mess with you, that rock with you, that think highly of you because of who you are to them or who you are to whatever you have shown them as a person in life, period, or even your game, your profession, they gonna say all the right things. So sometimes it's hard for you to even believe what you hear your friends or your peers or even family members speak on about you because you feel like you're supposed to say that. But I believe a lot of the stuff I hear about myself, but I just won't be the guy to say it. And just because of the fact that you got me on this show today, and this the first time we brought this up about why guys get dealt the way they get. I shouldn't have been dealt out of here. I should have been a guy that at the worst case scenario, if you want to say anything, we brought in Scott to be our GM at the time, and Scott talked to me the whole preseason, the whole offseason, rather, not preseason, the whole offseason about what things he was going to be doing. He was talking to my agent a lot, and then he would find a way to get to me because he had a relationship with Frank Gore, and Frank Gore had my number. Say, hey, man, holler at Tanner. That's the veteran. And Scott would share with me at times, like, yeah, I'm watching you on film. And I appreciate Scott, but then I also don't appreciate him. But it's not even Scott's fault. It's the people in the building that should have said, this is a guy we don't let go out of here until he can't do it no more. I wouldn't have said that 5 years ago because I just was to the point to, you don't owe me nothing. And I don't feel like still to this day they don't owe me anything. But when I watch Vince Carter, when I watch Kobe Bryant on his last years, when I watch Ginobili, when I watch all these guys, Dirk, Nowinski, when I watch all these guys whose game has diminished, but they're still starting or still making being a factor enough for their team, and they're going to keep them around. But then in our game, when you have a guy like that, and, to be honest with you, when we came in the locker rooms back in the day, in the early 2000s, we had guys on our teams like that. You had guys in Denver like that, and I had guys in New York like that because the game appreciated the veterans that can still do it. Yeah. One, because they was going to lead by example. Two, they was going to police your locker room. Three, they was going to go out there and get the job done. I have never showed you a time, regardless of the circumstances or the years that I was dealt with, whatever I was dealt with, whether it's quarterbacks, teams, that I wasn't going to go out there and give you my all, and it was going to be 2 or 3 guys at my position that's better than me. It's never been a time. So why you let a guy like me out the door so easy? You see what I'm saying? So I never spoke on that to this extent because I felt like I shouldn't. But when you look at this game, it proves to you time and time again, they do it to us all. So why should you be an exception? Why should you be different? And that's one of the things I get caught up in. That's one of the reasons why I'm not like a Portis at times that feel like you tried me. That's what the things that I got from you. You was a guy that, man, when you was tried, you going to let it be heard. You going to let it be known. Man, they tried me. This is how I feel about it, boom, boom, boom. When I got tried, guess what I did? Brushed it under the rug. You know why? Because I'm not an exception. I'm no bigger than the next guy. We all gonna get it. So I guess it's my time. And I got tried plenty of times. But at the same time, I still got up and went out there and got my job done. So when you look at the whole big scale of the NFL and you see numerous guys now being put to the test of some of the things that we've been dealt with, you wonder why. And then you wonder why these guys act the way they act when they say, pay me now. You know what? Screw what the hell that we did, or screw my French. But screw what you saying we done or what I haven't done, pay me. Because I did more than this guy, and he got this number, so I want this. I don't blame these guys now. I wouldn't have done that. I never went about business like that when I was playing. But when you look back at it, you say, that's the way they handle business. Because they tell you straight up, what have you done for me lately? So if you didn't do nothing last year, then why should I reward you with anything or look at you any more than or less than what you showed me. And that's how I look at the game, man. I say it's different times, and you can accept and sit back now that you're retired and you enjoy I enjoyed the game regardless. So regardless if you paid me a little or less, I'm going to go out there and give you what I gave you. That just was me. You spoke on this earlier. Because I didn't play for that dollar. I played making sure that them kids that I had to take care of, they can look at daddy like, man, my dad ain't no chump. He ain't out there just to be out there. Besides those kids, where you from? You know how those guys in the neighborhood, they might not never walk them out in your shoe, but you better not go home and not be who they say you are, because they going to let you know. And where you come from, your mama name, your daddy name on that back of that jersey. You know what I mean? That God-given talent that you was blessed with, that them other guys that you know that even though they was blessed with it, they wasn't fortunate. It was so many other reasons why we did what we did, and they don't respect it. They don't care because it's business. And then you find us here talking about it, and people be like, man, wow, we need more of those shows. Yeah, you need it because you need to hear the truth. You need to hear how we really feel. It's not about that we bitter. It's not about that, we feel like we deserve more. No, never. I would never sit up here and tell you I deserve something. No, it is what it is. Guess what? When it's time to chalk it up, oh, well, it was good while it lasted. I had fun. I'm sure you had a blast. You had a blast, and I was scratching my head while he stopped. I know we did. So it's funny that we talking about this because we all was dealt some bull at a time in our career, and we find it odd when we hear fans come up to us. I know we probably don't find it odd, but they find it odd why yours went this way. And tell them why you didn't even want to. Man, I didn't even want to let nobody know I retired. It's done, man. I'm coming and going as the wind blow, And so I look back at it now, man. I tip my hat off to the OBJs. I tip my hat off to the Antonio Browns. Now, don't get me twisted. I don't handle business the way some of the things that was done that they did. But I tip my hat off to them because in order for you to be the guy, you have to almost be that guy. You have to be that villain sometime to be respected. If you're not that guy that's causing havoc on and off the field, they're going to forget about you.
Speaking of forgotten about, we're not going to forget about this finals, Golden State, Toronto. Is this one of your favorite finals? When you look at KD, Kawhi entering free agency, KD not being available, Kawhi playing probably one of the best playoffs version of any player in the history since Michael Jordan, and both of these guys becoming free agents, possibly teaming up in free agency. So when you look at these guys that control their own destiny, you think Golden State with KD can come back and pull it off?
Look, I look at it like this, and I don't know how much time we have, but if Golden State had KD out the gate, I think it'd be a different series, no doubt. I see it's funny to sit back here and talk about this now because I think coming into this thing, people didn't give KD enough respect about what he meant to the Golden State team. And they said, well, you came on a team that was super. No, but when he came, they just lost the championship. They lost being they was up 3-1. It had never been done at the time, and they don't want to say the man's name, but I'm going to say it because I'm a big fan of LeBron James. But LeBron James is the only guy on the only team that ever came back from a 3-1 deficit. So now to see these guys been dealt that, let's see what they can do. Whether KD be some, help for them or not, I don't know, but it's going to be tough pickings. I think Toronto should go ahead and end it tonight.
Speaking of seeing what you can do, 26 minutes, always keeping it real, always giving you the real talk, the real conversation, the inside scoop. Santana Moss, one of my favorite teammates of all time. I'll still take him to this day if I'm going to war, if I'm going to battle. It's my main man, 8 to the 9. Appreciate you blessing the show. We out.